East County residents have complained that they are a dumping ground for sexually violent predators released by the state.
Last April, Supervisor Joel Anderson said roughly 67% of the overall number of such predators are being placed there. Now, some state lawmakers are pushing a proposal to change the placement process.
Yeah, we are joined now by State Senator Brian Jones of Santee. Senator, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys covering this.
Sure. We understand it's a bipartisan effort. It's called the Sexually Violent Predator Accountability, Fairness, and Enforcement Act, or SAFE Act. And what's it going to do, basically?
Well, to your point, what you were just making regarding the placements in San Diego County, one of the proposals of the bill is that it will limit in each supervisorial district to 40%. So in each county around the state can only, in each supervisorial district, only put 40% into each district. And that, I think that's to make it equitable across the state, or across the state first and across each county, that not one particular neighborhood is being overly impacted by these sexually violent predators that, first of all, and I think a lot of us would agree, don't belong in any neighborhood at all, but they certainly shouldn't be concentrated in one particular neighborhood.
And you bring up a good point. I mean, putting in those people, there aren't any neighborhoods really that we've ever come across who are welcoming.
Right.
Most places where there are families and children are not going to want convicted sexual predators. So where should they go?
Well, one of the other parts of my bill, and it's a bipartisan bill, Senator Hueso is a co-author, Assemblymember Jim Cooper from Sacramento, who's a former sheriff's deputy, he's a co-author. And so we're getting a lot of good positive momentum on this bill in Sacramento. One of the 5 proposals is that the CAL FIRE, state hospitals, and other state agencies will have to inventory properties that they already have, some that already have trailers available, other places where we can put trailers and put these sexually violent predators in areas where they can be watched and protect. They need protection as well. But number one, protect the neighborhoods, that they never go back to a neighborhood where they can victimize a family or a child ever again.
Well, those behind this proposal have said the #1 priority is public safety. And given that, doesn't it seem to lean toward rural areas being selected?
Well, if it is a rural area, what we want it to be is an area, again, where it's on state property or other government property, where there is sufficient oversight of the activities of the sexually violent predator when they're released. So, for example, a CAL FIRE fire camp in their parking lot or another part of the property where it would be possible and appropriate to put a trailer for these guys to live in, there is a element of oversight just by where they're being placed, rather than being placed in a neighborhood. My first choice would be for them to be either in a low or medium security prison, or even high security prison like Donovan. Governor Schwarzenegger, Governor Wilson, Governor Deukmejian have all placed these guys in facilities similar to Donovan, or at Donovan even, in the parking lot or in part of the low security area of those prisons. So again, there's some oversight on where these guys are, not in a neighborhood with families and children.
Where do things stand right now with this proposal?
Well, we just introduced it last month, or this month actually, and so we're waiting for its first committee assignment. I would assume that would be public safety. So we're going to start working with the members of the Public Safety Committee in the Senate, and then it probably will get what's called dual referred to another committee. Not sure which one that would be, but we're starting to work the process in the Senate right now to make sure it gets a good hearing and gets passed.
All right, we've been talking with State Senator Brian Jones of Santee about this effort to make the process of placing sexually violent predators more equitably in terms of where they are placed and safe for the community as well. Senator, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.